Hi. I do believe I'm live now for real. Not sure for sure because, gosh, I don't know. Everything's kind of crazed out this morning. I was broadcasting through, this is my Monday, so I'm on Oneness Talk Radio. And I knew right from the beginning that something was wrong because it kept telling me I wasn't live or that my broadcast wasn't visible. And I still don't even know if this one's visible. Hopefully this is live. There I am. I can see myself. So, I mean, amazingly enough, I have been struggling already this week with thoughts about this platform that I'm on, and whether I made the right decision or not. And now things, are kind of showing me that maybe that isn't the case. But also, I'm seeing that I am live. So when I went on my own, even though it looks like it's paused. So I don't know what to think, guys, right? I don't know what to think. Just when I thought that I could say that I am totally in understanding of what is happening on this planet, I am totally not in understanding of anything that is happening on this planet. So there, you have it. I see everybody now. J-Lo, hello. Amy, good morning. Allison, good morning. Joshua, yay, we were all texting each other worried about me. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So here's the deal. In the mornings on Monday, I click on a specific link that's supposed to take me to the platform that I stream through on Oneness Talk Radio. And almost immediately I realized there was a problem because when I went to my YouTube channel, there's nobody there. And when I went through to look at the live broadcast, there was nobody there. And I went, oh my gosh. So I thought, well, it says I'm live on Zoom, so I'm just going to hang out here. And unfortunately, it wasn't live at all, apparently. So then I just said, okay, done. Came back, and here you all are. Here I am, all fine. Good morning, Mimi. Good morning, Destiny. And J-Lo says, I was searching on each page. Thank you guys for loving me so much that you're going to stay with it until you find me. Things were just kind of wonky in the background. So thank you. Good morning, Elisa and Kimberly and Jennifer Peachy. It's good to see everybody popping in. And as I was nattering on about the new moon, I had something extraordinary that I was sharing. And so now I'm going to go back and share it again because I really was excited to share this with everybody. This morning when I got up very early and I realized, okay, we're in the shadow of the new moon. So we're sitting here in the ending, right? This is the closing out of a cycle. In order to begin the new cycle, which begins with the new moon at 10:34 a.m. Pacific time this morning, and 1:30 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast, and all the time periods in between. And so I went to my Mayan cards were sitting here. Ursula, you'll know how these cards are sort of magic. And these are the cards. I'm going to go back to Zoom so I can make sure I'm doing this right. Here we go. So you guys, this is the Oracle deck that Ursula had sent to me. And for whatever reason, they were calling to me this morning. And I pulled a card for all of us. I should say that. I say that because initially I thought it was just for me. How self-centered of me. But then I realized, oh my gosh, I've just pulled a card for the entire group. And it was the card Khan. And Khan in the Mayan calendar was the representation of the seedling. You can sort of see up here at the temple area, that looks like a little grain of corn because corn was their main staple, and a seed of corn planted could lead to feeding their culture or feeding their people. And this card represents new beginnings. Right? It represents planting the seed and what will come of the seed. So I want to read to you directly from the book on the card Khan because it's so fitting for the new moon today. It says, receiving Khan indicates that now is an auspicious time to plant the seed of some intention, project, or dream. Now is the time to act on your inspiration. Stop daydreaming and begin initiating your creative ideas. The energy of Khan asks you to look at the issue of receptivity, for seeds germinate best in a field of responsive surrender. Responsive surrender. Get that one, right? What can you do to create the receptivity that will assist in the germination of your seed ideas? Remember that all seeds are self-germinated and that the realization of any dream starts with a simple thought. Don't get lost in the entire process of manifestation. Just begin by seeding your heart's desire. Feel the possibility of your dream seed emerging. Your life is the receptive soil. Plant a seed in that fertile field. Begin. Take the first step. The result will naturally blossom in the light of your willingness to start. All seeds hold the holographic power of their own completion. Con represents the power that directs the vital processes of an organism toward wholeness. Continue on this journey of manifestation by following your deepest feelings and dreams. Then I'm going to read the shadow wisdom because I think there's something really powerful here as well. In the first line reminds me of a line from one of my favorite movies, Dune, where his father's words echo in his mind, and they say the sleeper must awaken. Here's the first line: "Are you a sleeper who wants to remain protected and seemingly invulnerable? Are you unconsciously limiting yourself by supporting the illusion of safety and security in the apparent protection of your shell? Be willing to break the constraining shells of self-concepts and life structures. Be freed of old patterns and beliefs that once provided safety and move forward into new possibilities. Beyond the confines of security and the routine patterns of daily life, unknown possibilities beckon. Look at how you may be limiting your natural growth. Don't wait for what seems to be the perfect conditions to plant your seeds. Now is the season. Cultivate your seeds. You are the receptive soil. Your joyful desire will naturally draw its own support. All your dreams and desires lie within you to be awakened. The answer is inside, not outside. Remember that seeds contain the complete hologram of the whole, and that within the process of growth, answers and insights are always offered. Plant your intentions. They will quicken, guide, and manifest the mysteries held in your depth. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I couldn't have planned that better, right? Maybe the divine had a message for all of us this morning that was pretty powerful. And here we are in that shadow of the new moon, where it is entirely possible for us to go within and determine what is it that we want to create. And interesting, because this particular new moon falls in Cancer, 28 degrees Cancer. And one of the sticky points for Cancer is this needing to be protected and pulling back into its shell when it feels threatened, when it feels vulnerable, and hiding, that vulnerability between that wall called a shell, crab shell. Interesting. I had crab for lunch yesterday. It was, live from the bay out there. And I mean, it wasn't live. I was eating it from having been live. And, cracking it, I had to crack into that shell to be able to get to the crab meat. And it's the same sort of motif that we're dealing with here, outside as within, as above, so below. We're breaking through the crab shell. We're breaking through our vulnerabilities. We're breaking through the old conversations, the old thoughts that have kept us sort of down and safe. And not that I'm saying to take, your life and risk it and go out there in the world and do things in a risky sort of way. That is not it at all. But we all have some seed of our heart's desire sitting here. And we are at various states of creating from that place. This seems to suggest that we really need to take the steps from our heart's desire. So it was amazing because very quickly I got to this little piece of paper holds the seeds of my intention setting for the new moon. And in that moment, I was able to just go right here and go, what is it that I want from that place? Not from, my mind, but from that place. And it came very quickly. So I encourage all of you to do that. As soon as we're done this morning, you'll still be in the time before the new moon, and then you'll set those powerful intentions in whatever way that you do, whether it's through ritual, whether it's through meditation, whether it's just saying out loud what it is that you desire from the universe, whatever way that you use this time to create. I would suggest that after we're done this morning, that you take the time to really look within to the heart space to do that, because that's kind of the message that was delivered to all of us this morning. Now, the new moon, again, 10:34 a.m. Then it goes into a void, of course, at 22 minutes after the new moon. We go into the void moon. And that, I should have seen that coming really because we were at the end of Cancer. So before we go into a new sign, the moon always goes into the void, or as soon as it makes its last connection. And we have about a 3-hour void, of course. So from 10:56 a.m. till 1:17 p.m. this afternoon, my time. So 1:56 to 4:17 p.m. for the East Coast. We go into the void. We go into that place of stillness. So interesting, new beginnings, stillness, right? We go into that space. And I think it's an interesting space we go into because it's a study in contrasts, as what we go into the void with is an opposition of the sun moon conjunction to Saturn. And Saturn, as you know, often is a point that when there's oppositions, it can bring us down. It can bring us into that melancholic space. It can bring us into contemplation. And indeed, that seems to be what this will be all about. The contemplation on one end of expansion and how we grow and how we move outward from the inside. And from the other side, it would be more about conservatism, really getting some clarity around what do I want? So this is the inside job. And then we have the opportunity to do the outside job, right? We're expressing both, but it is an opposition. The sun moon opposition says, hey, you got to do your work first. You got to do your work first. If you want to go in this direction, you have to set the foundation. You have to set the foundation here. And in fact, the sun opposing Saturn in this, the sun and the moon, both opposing Saturn at this point in time, really gives us a reality check, right? Reality check mark, where we may be feeling doubt. We may be feeling a little pessimistic. We may be feeling low confidence and low worthiness in our field, as well as feel a limited feeling like something's contained us, and that we can't move out. And this time period we've been in over the last several months has really kind of felt like that, hasn't it? Right? We have to contain our breath behind a mask, or we couldn't even go out for a while. And or you could, and even now in some places it's like, dangerous to your own life and well-being to go out in amongst big groups of people. So we felt really very limited. And this kind of brings that into focus for us, that not only had we been limited on the physical, by, the things that are going on in the outer world, but somehow that equated to our limiting our own expression and dampening down our own spirit. So here is our opportunity then in the space, not only now before the new moon, but with the new moon, and then that, couple of hours after that new moon, to really look at and reevaluate your goals, your your life purpose, even to take that moment to read what the winds hold for you. Which way are the winds blowing? The inner winds, where's that inner breath wanting to take you? And then this is conservative by nature, so it becomes very important that there's a plan that you follow with that, right? That you're not just like throwing it all out there and then kind of playing catch up. No, it's more like take the time to make the plan, right? To take the goal orientation here and focus those goals in a specific direction, whether you're building a business, a relationship, an art project, whatever it is, a health regimen, let's see, financially. I'm trying to go through all the houses as I'm thinking here, teaching, whatever it is that you want to be building. Maybe it's new friendships, maybe it's a new relationship with your inner self. All of that takes time, and it takes a goal, and it takes then taking the steps toward the goals. I think that's what this new moon really demonstrates for us, is that it's time to take those steps, but you must do it with a plan. And if you do that, then things happen very quickly. And I think it's also interesting to note that on Wednesday, the sun, actually the moon moves there too. The moon and the sun will be in they won't be in a conjunction, but they're both moving into the sign of Leo. And I'm pretty sure they will be in Leo both on, yeah. So at the time the sun moves into Leo, which is at 1:37 a.m. on Wednesday, the moon will also be in Leo. So although the sun will be at the very beginning of Leo and the moon will be toward the very end of Leo, because it also changes into Virgo that day. But extraordinary, right? Maybe that gives us this hint that we have a couple of days that we could really seed our heart's desires, right? Because Leo represents heart's desires. And that then we can take those, I'm getting chills thinking about that. And trust me, it's not because it's cold in here. It is our opportunity to really gain some ground in creation of our desires. And also, as we go into Wednesday, we'll talk more about this on Wednesday. Mercury, our little messenger planet, comes into a sextile with Uranus. So if we step back and look at both Mercury and Uranus, they both have this connection to the nervous system. They both have a connection to the internet and curiosity streams and waking us up in some way. Mercury rules the more human mind, right? The idea of communication and the human mind, where Uranus rules the more extraordinary mind, right? Those shocking sort of ideas and inspiration that come in that awaken us to do something more, to be something more. So we have that on Wednesday as well. So we have a couple of really extraordinary days. And I want you to take full advantage of this. And we'll talk more tomorrow as well as on Wednesday about the potential for what we're creating in this life. I'm heading back over here to YouTube saying hello again. What degree is your Cancer rising, Janet? Mine is 26 degrees Cancer. So the new moon I had the sun crossing over my ascendant 2 days ago, I think it was. And yeah, so my new moon is kind of sitting here on my rising as well. Amy says, wow, feeling the magic this morning. Exactly. And Joshua, yeah, it's like the Fool and the Magician in tarot, magical beginnings and new possibilities. Spirit is in fire, and interesting that we're moving out of water with the sun and the moon and right directly into fire, right? Water to fire. Creation energy, the depths of creation into the expression of that through inspiring action. So inspired action, that's what we're ready to do. Good morning, Asa. Amy says, don't forget to thumbs up the video. Thank you, Patricia Woods. Good morning. She said it took me 20 minutes to find you on YouTube. I'm sorry, because this morning was a cluster right from the beginning, and that's okay. And Adrienne Jones, good morning. Happy new moon to you as well. Kamal, good morning to you. And it's great to see you. And wonderful. So if you guys are joining us a little bit late this morning, go back to the beginning of the video, because I read from the card that I pulled for us for the new moon in the Mayan Oracle deck, which was Khan, which was the seed. And I thought it was extraordinary that that happened on a day when we're looking at the new moon, or the possibilities of what the new moon will bring to us. Love it, love it. Now let's transition over a little bit. And by the way, the new moon, the sun moving into Leo, and Mercury sextile Uranus are it for the week. Right? I mean, sure, the moon's moving through and making connections like she always does. So there's those subtle energies and emotional changes that we'll experience, but that's it for the big stuff for the week. So that gives you all plenty of time to work on those new beginnings, to work on the seed, right? To make sure it's planted and watered and ready to grow, and to contemplate what shifts you need to make in your mind to be able to help that growth, right? To set the intentions and to line up heart and mind. So there's not a whole lot of other interference in the wavelengths this week that are going to take you away from that. So cool, right? Now let's look at the human design energy for the week. This is a week that actually began yesterday, and we are now with the sun at the gate 56. I'm actually going to show you, because I think I opened it up. Let's see here, make sure I have it opened, and then I'm going to show you. There it is. And I'm going to show you the chart for the day while we talk about this. That way you guys get used to seeing a human design chart. There we go. All right, so notice, what do you notice right away? Our same two centers are defined up here, our head and our ajnas, the center for ideas and inspiration, and our center for certainty and data recall and, analysis paralysis even. So we have the head defined and everything else is open. The sun is sitting here at the gate 56. And in fact, it's not only the sun sitting there, it is also Saturn sitting there. I don't know what I did with my picture that I printed of this morning. I swear there are little gremlins in my office today. Anyway, doesn't really matter because I'm showing it on the screen. But the sun and Saturn are sitting here at the gate 56. I'm not sorry, not the sun and Saturn. The sun and the moon are sitting here at the gate 56. And they're bringing us this energy of storytelling. What is the story that you have been telling? And literally, it is about the voice of the storyteller. Note that 56 is on the throat center here. So this is the voice of the storyteller, the historian, perhaps, the philosopher, who expresses their experiences to the world. And through words and the power of words, shares that information in right timing. Right timing because the throat center is very much like projection energy, the projector type of energy that has to wait for the invitation to be shared, to be pulled out of you. And that can happen very much in the moment somebody says, tell me about, or when did that happen for you? Or any other kind of opening that's then the opportunity for you to share your experience, your story from your experience. But now think about that for a minute. How powerful is that of an opportunity? Because what do we usually do is we share our experience, and then our sharing of that experience also connects us to the emotion of that experience. And now we're bringing all of that up in a more powerful and profound way. And even though the voice is far away from the emotional center, our emotions begin flowing with that. And so it begs the question, what story are you telling? And is it a story where you can say to somebody, in my past, I've experienced this, and this is what I'm working on now. This is where I'm taking this energy now. I don't care if that's just something that happens today, right? Where today the story changes and the story becomes more dynamically aligned with your heart's desire. This is what is also called in some cases the gate of expansion. I don't look at it so much as expansion as I look at it as and this comes from the gene keys directly, how can I enrich my life by telling the story, by telling a story in a new way? So yeah, in the past, things have happened. Bullshit has happened, stuff has happened. And it hasn't always been pleasant. It hasn't always been fun to go through. In fact, it's been depressing. It's been upsetting. It's been, anger making. Stuff has happened, right? It's been crazy making. But that doesn't mean that I have to keep telling that story that way, provoking or triggering that emotion, and then sort of crystallizing that experience. Because I'll tell you, that experience that's happened in the past is also informing what you're doing now. And if you want to keep holding yourself to that old story, then what you're doing is also permeating your new with that old. So we have a bit of a dilemma here, right? We want to learn from the past. We want to talk about the experiences of our past, but we have to tell this in a new way. So we have to tell this with enthusiasm for what will be, as well as what we've learned from what was. So we have an interesting gate this week with that energy of both the sun and actually, when I drew the chart this morning, the new moon wasn't happening yet. So at that time, the moon was at gate 62 still over here. But by the next hour or so, the moon and the sun will both be sitting at this gate 56. Now, a new moon is in opposition to the Earth. So here we see the Earth and we see Saturn at our gate 60. So that is down here on the root center, and it's moving up toward the sacral center. So the gate 60 is a completely different gate, and having Saturn here makes it more serious, but it's also a gate that's about limitation. And I carry this gate in many places. I carry it in my Saturn on both sides, and I carry it in my Jupiter on my life purpose side. How does that, right? Limitation for a reward with Jupiter and karma with Saturn. Woo! And then now the new moon with the earth sitting there at that particular gate tells me that this is the pressure. This is a pressure center, right? The pressure to bring something into being, to bring something into form. And again, it happens in the right time, in the right place, with the right people and the right opportunities. And it's waiting for the energy at gate 3, which is a gate that really, we call it the gate of mutation. We call it the gate of chaos. We call it the gate of transformation sometimes, because it brings things out, the mutation up, where 60 then orders it. In fact, sometimes the gate 3 is called the gate of ordering. And that just doesn't do it justice, right? Because the gate 3 is very highly mutative. And if you have gate 3 in your natural chart, in your natal astrology or natal human design chart, and now we have this energy sitting here at gate 60, transformation is afoot in your own personal life. Mutation is afoot. Those of you who have this already defined in your chart, live this life, right? You live your life of transformation, right? Every experience for you is a pressure to transform and to mutate. And I carry that particular channel as well throughout my human design. So it's already there. If you have it already defined, it doesn't necessarily change up this energy, but it may call things into focus for you where you have not lived up to the challenge of creating from focus on the right timing and focus on, it's the pressure to bring that mutation in the right timing. In Gene Keys, this is the gate of limitation. And in the gift, it's realism. I like to call it magical realism. And I want to say that Richard Rudd even calls it magical realism at some point in his talk about that particular gate. Magical because everything about creation is magical, right? When we're creating, when you think about the power that your mind has to connect the thoughts to words, and then the words connect to creation, and then you add in the field of your emotions and the power of the emotions to add to or detract from your creations, it's truly like magic, right? It's just, it's amazing. So we have the voice of the storyteller this week. And what's the story that you're telling, right? It's not just the any old story, but what story do you want to say about how you use the best of what you've learned from the past, you joined it to the now and created a future that is of your own choosing, from your heart's desires? Or are you going to keep telling the story of how you always fail, or how things never happen for you, or how vulnerable you feel, or how relationships are crashing around you, or blah, blah, blah? Well, you know the story. We all have it. We all have a story that we say ad nauseum to ourselves and to others, and it's time to break that cycle, right? It's time to break it. All of the energy is lined up for us to be able to do that. Okay, so checking to make sure there wasn't something else I wanted to say about that. So let's, I wanted to just mental note. Look at all of the gates here that are hanging, right? All of these hanging gates. In human design, when we see hanging gates, those are the gates that don't make it all the way across to another center. These are points at which the potential for you to meet up with someone that completes that channel in some way is high, or that these hanging gates are completing by transit something in your own chart. So for example, right now we have, is it Venus? Yeah, Venus is sitting at the gate 35. If you have the gate 36 hanging, you suddenly have this wonderful channel of transformation available in your life. If you are like me and you have gate 12 hanging, the fact that Neptune is sitting here at gate 22 gives you a long period of the channel of openness being triggered. So all of these different places here are where you have the possibility that you're being connected up in some new way. This is why knowing your human design is so invaluable, because you know that you're borrowing temporarily this energy, and it gives you access to more during the time period, but then it moves on, right? It moves on, and then it begins to change your human design. It's a a morphing human design, right? Human design is static from your birth, but in the movement of planets through, just like in astrology, those planets move, it creates new possibilities for you all the time, right? New possibilities are always being birthed in your human design. So if you guys are out there and you have the gate 11, the sun and moon sitting here at gate 56, complete this channel. And this is a great channel for becoming inspired with new ideas and to be able to bring those ideas, birthing them into, expanding them out of the mind and into the form, right? The corporeal form. And then if you are someone who has the gate 3 that's hanging, then the gate 60 is bringing that mutation to life. It is literally expanding you in a very goal-oriented way, or a step-by-step progression in your life. So hopefully that's helpful and people understand. If you are out there listening and this is your first time here and you don't have your own human design chart yet, go to my website at living-astrology.com and request your free chart. It comes with a report, just gives you the bare minimum, information, gives you an offer for a reading, which is a more fully, personalized reading for you, with me. And then you can see for yourself when these things are happening, what's going on in your chart. Okay, so everybody's finding me. I love it. Debbie Tibbetts to me. You want to hear something funny, Debbie? In my earlier broadcast onto Oneness Talk Radio, where I suddenly realized that nobody's out there. Nobody was out there. It was like the Twilight Zone. I said to you, Debbie, if you're hearing this, would you please text me and tell me that you are, because I can't hear you. I can't see you. And no, you didn't text me, of course. So I knew right away nobody was listening. Nobody heard me. So I ended that broadcast and started a new one. So that's how everybody began to find me. Yes, J-Lo, it's like finding Waldo. And it's funny because Patricia Woods said the same thing. It's like, where's Waldo? I don't know why that happens. I have no earthly idea why that happens, but it does seem to happen frequently to me at times. And of course, Mercury still is in the shadow, the retro shade of his last retrograde period, having only been going direct now for 1 week. Still have another couple of weeks for that. And I will come through it. J-Lo, woohoo, I have gate 17. So that means that gate 17 and 62 are joined up right now. It seems like there's a very logical way for your thinking to be progressing at the moment, J-Lo. Natasha, good morning. Crabs go through a time to shed their shells, to shed what doesn't fit anymore, to grow into a new kind of knowing with the core us along for the ride. And it can be uncomfortable. Ask for grace and ease, and your fairies and angels want to help. I love that. J-Lo, interesting. My youngest has it in her design. Ursula, found you. Ursula, that's so funny. Everybody's had that moment this morning, including me, where I found everybody, and everybody found me. It was like coming home, right? It was like the cosmic hug. We all found one another. It's lovely. But a little bit annoying for me on my part because of the way it all happened. Okay, so let's look at the Pleiadian-Earth energy, and then I'm going to pull an animal card, I think, for us for our week ahead. The Pleiadian-Earth energy, remember on Saturday, we walked into a new spiral of consciousness. A new week was birthed. And you know what, guys, I got to tell you something. My husband and I got kind of hooked onto this thing called The Curse of Oak Island. It's a show about a little island off the coast of Nova Scotia called Oak Island, where presumably the Knights Templar or some other group of people buried treasure. And there's all kinds of evidence that they're finding on this island. And it occurred to me yesterday about how sacred the number 13 is. America started with 13 colonies. And then yesterday, during one of the shows I was watching with them, they pointed out that George Washington had a symbol for a flag, and it was a tree with its branches out, kind of looks like a pine tree or a fir tree. And there were 13 branches, so 12 going up and then one at the top That was the 13. So, and you know, our country is steeped in this sort of Masonic or Knights Templar sort of iconography. There's this magical thing that runs through it. And I know all of you out there who are conspiracy theorists are probably going to end up texting me bullshit about conspiracies, and that's the number of the Illuminati and yada, yada. I'm not worried about any of that. What I'm thinking of is how the number 13 played a prominent role in the birth of this nation, and then how powerful it is that it was attempted to be snuffed out by the powers that be in the religions of Europe, perhaps the Catholic religion, and overtaking from the pagan religions, the more earth-centered religions, where the number 13 became more evil or superstitious. So here we have this opportunity to sort of right that. In this particular astrology takes us, this particular calendar takes us into 13, the sacredness of the number 13. So when we begin a new week, we're beginning a new spiral of consciousness of 13 days that take us from that seed, new beginning, to completion or ascension. And if we follow this 13-day pattern throughout the whole, we see how we are evolving, how our own personal consciousness, when we start to look at this, really is evolving along with that of the world around us. Doesn't always look like it's evolving, but it is, right? So evolution is happening. So when we really tune into what the number 1 day is, then we get this idea of the umbrella energy for the next 13 days. So on Friday, we had that 13. On Saturday, we began the new week. And we began the new week with transcending energy. So 1 transcending, and that tells us to let go of what is no longer serving us, to prepare for the new, right? So your story, what components of your story can be let go of, or transcended, right? As in, we have this story, like all heroes' quests and heroes' journeys, where they go off with such optimism and grace, and I'm going to find my heart, I'm going to find my life purpose, I'm going to find that treasure. And then I start encountering obstacles and blocks and people who want to stop me and issues that come up. And that all gets embraced in the story that I'm telling. From my journey, I then had this happen and all these things happening to stop me from getting to where I wanted to be. And what's not written is the next chapter, right? How you used that energy and that wisdom of your past to create a new story and a new pathway forward. So transcending energy here in this particular 13 days, overriding, transcending energy, overriding everything. And the Mayan translation for transcending was Chimi or Kimi, C-I-M-I. It was a representation of the owl or a death mask, sometimes a skull. And it was all about letting go so that rebirth can happen. So then yesterday, of course, was 2, and we were working with duality energy. Today is the number 3, the universal energy of creativity, of possibilities, and then the opportunity for us to connect with possibilities, to create from intention, to create. And maybe another word for create is manifest. So to manifest from a heart space, from a mind and heart aligned, and moving outward from inside to the outside, but beginning in the inside here to create. And then the day's energy, the earth energy of the day, i.e. where the new moon will be, is in loving energy. So today is 3 loving, and loving energy is Lamat in the Mayan calendar, and that was the representation of the planet Venus. So Venus, loving energy, it's enthusiastic energy, it is productive energy, we can get things done, but it brings us a choice. This is choice energy, right? To bring in and integrate the new into our bodies and into our souls and into our hearts and into our minds, or to create more conflict because we can't stop judging and blaming and guilting and being, tapping into those fear energies. So we have the choice. Do we integrate the new and become harmonious And or do we create more of that conflict on the planet? So I love loving energy. And then that also begs the question of where is Venus in the grand scheme of things? Well, Venus is still, she is at the midway of Gemini energy. She's at 15 degrees of Gemini today. And that means we're, you know, Gemini is a dual sign, right? Duality. So the problem stems from duality, where we are unable to see that the one side of the coin that we might interpret as awesome and good and great holds the other side, which is the opposite, which is not so good, not so great, maybe terrible even. And our lesson is to integrate both. So it's that's why when people bring up conspiracy theories and all of that kind of stuff, I just shake my head, because you can bring all that up all you want. And all it is that you're saying is you're still not seeing that it is the same side, the different side of the same coin, right? No matter how, in particular, this virus, let's say, began, whether it was a bio weapon and perpetrated on us by the deep state or the dark or whatever in the bleep that side thinks, or if it was something that was perpetrated by accident or by evolutionary impulses that then we failed to see how it is we can manage that and help ourselves to get through that. Whatever camp you're in, it doesn't matter, because they're all the same side of the coin. And the flip side is, now, what do we do with this? How do we move through this? How do we heal this within ourselves? Because it's all being born out of our own darkness, out of our own deep state, if you will. You carry the deep state as well as you carry the light state. You are all inclusive, right? You are one whole meal deal. And anything that you see as the dark in your outer world is really the reflection of what you have yet to heal in your inner world. It doesn't matter who you think it's coming from or who you think started it, or, you know, all of that. All of that's just details, story, interference lines in a story. The real truth is, if you see that out there, and if that's what you truly believe, then what does that mean right here within you, right? What does it mean here? Because you're creating your outer world from what is going on in here. And let me tell you, there are some elaborate schemes out there. There are some elaborate dark stories. And it is really amazing to me how the opportunity that we have to look at those dark stories and our connection to it. And what does that mean for what we're healing and here for ourselves? This is huge, people. This is like opportune time to heal the dark within you, because you're seeing it in the outer world. No matter what the theory, no matter what the story, it's your opportunity to come here and deal with it here, because that's the only place you can deal with it, in here. And with a new moon, the opportunity to do that is huge, right? And it is so varied for all of us to be able to do that for ourselves, within ourselves, right? Irregardless of the story we're telling about how it came to be, who did it, what's going on, all the secrets, because really the secret's out. Because if you're seeing that in your outer world, the secret is exposed. Now you can work on how that got created from within you. And we're all doing it, right? We're all doing it. So good for you, right? Good for all of us. We get to work, we get to see the story, we get to work on the story, we get to change the story. Okay, so I'm sure that's going to get a reaction from some people. I love it today. I'm just going to be a provocateur. Kimberly Eberhard, agreed. Yay. Asa, love the universal connection. Allison D says day is a 13 because it's 7 + 2 + 2 + 2. Ooh, I love that. It is. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So no wonder I'm resonating at 13 today. J-Lo, weird, not weird. Natasha, yes, my hubby and I watch that show. Much more than the gold is being unearthed. The amazing how our history is being rewritten to write our future. It is. It's a fabulous show. I mean, there's just something so profound about the adventure to it, the seeking treasure. And more, instead of treasure, what they're finding is a different kind of treasure, right? The connection to our past. And there's just something really crazy about it. All right, so let me see. It's 8:56. I've got to get moving here. So let me bring up our spirit animals. I gave us the card from the Mayan, the Con, right? Con, the seed. Let's see what animal wants of a new story of manifesting from our higher selves. Ooh, I just am, I mean, yay. I'm just feeling like expansive, and I'm feeling also like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm just feeling really good. Ooh. Oh God. Yay. So I have a funny story to tell you, a funny animal story to tell you. So Friday, I do a forum once a month for those people that are in the membership, so that if any questions you have on your human design or on your astrology or Pleiadian, anything, whatever questions you have, you can bring them to forum, and you have that, personal one-on-one time with me. Just before I started forum, I poured myself a cup of coffee, and I walked outdoors just to get some fresh air. So before that started, so I could, just have clarity when I went to do things. And I'm holding my cup of coffee, and I no sooner stepped outside and a wasp drops right there into my coffee. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm trying to save him because I have this, sweetheart, I don't want to hurt thing, but I know I can't do it with my finger because likely I'll get stung or bit or whatever they do. So I run around and I'm looking for something. I find a pen, I get that wasp out of the coffee, and hopefully he survived because he looked pretty dead when I pulled him out. Second time in a week I have saved a wasp from a liquid. And what card did I just draw for us? Wasp. Wasp energy is the card that I pulled, but it was in protection mode. Wasp spirit says sometimes life stings. Now, I drew two cards because another one was kind of connected to it. And it is, so I would say, here's our contractive self, right? The contraction. And the other one was buffalo spirit, right? The abundant universe will provide. So let's see what, and both of them came out upside down. So we have maybe Providence here with us. What number is that? 64. Wasp is 64, which is a 10, which is a 1. So turkey. Now, in protection, it says, are you holding on to anger, jealousy, or resentment because you got stung? Or could you have just stung yourself by comparing yourself to others? There will always be someone else who is more successful, happier, thinner, richer. Jealousy is the false belief that you can't have what you want, or someone could take away something that was supposed to be yours. Let it go and release all those feelings that are making the sting hurt long after the stinger has been removed. Wasp spirit has woken you up, and now you are called to trust that disappointment can lead you to a different and better path. Align with spirit now and trust that this too shall pass, and is already doing so, for the pain subsides when you stop telling the story of how much it hurt. I can't make this stuff up, you guys. I can't, right? There's just much more magic. The universe is far more creative than I could hope to be. Wasp spirit. Whoops, I'm going to cancel that story, and I'm going to take that story back. Then we also have buffalo, which was also a 10, which is also a 1. So 64, 6 plus 4 is 10. And then if you reduce the 10, which I try not to reduce 10s because I think they're like a bit of a jacked up 1, right? A happier new beginning, or a bigger new beginning, more transformative. So buffalo spirit, the abundant universe will provide. So I get back here to 10. Okay, and it was also upside down. So we have a protection message here. When Buffalo Spirit visits you with a message of protection, he is asking you to shift your thinking from poverty consciousness to one where you trust the universe will provide. Have you been falling into financial insecurity, worrying that there will not be enough money in the future? Have you been stressing and feeling sorry for yourself, worrying that because you have no romantic relationship now, you will never have one? Do you see scarcity where there is, in fact, abundance? Are you comparing yourself to others and falling short? Self-pity, entitlement, fear, and lack are all thought viruses that seduce you into darkness. Buffalo Spirit nudges you to make a gratitude list and be mindful of your thoughts at this time. Even if outer events have happened to challenge your beliefs in abundance, outer conditions are temporary. If you are suffering from the malaise of fear that you are impoverished, realize that it is only poverty of perception and perspective. Prayer, communion with your higher self, gratitude coupled with compassionate, selfless service will snap you right out of it. Give to someone who has less than you. Be thankful for the tiniest things and say affirmations. Then you will remember abundance is the true nature of the world. Our two tens, right? Wasp and buffalo. Love that. I mean it. Seriously, I cannot make this stuff up. The coherence that comes out in these divine systems is just amazing. Okay, Ursula, yay, wasp energy to guide is in the powerful new moon energy today, big portal opening. And I have a feeling, Ursula, that that might reside in Saturn, right? The sun and moon in an opposition to Saturn, where we're bringing, you know, both of the potential for the new, but it has to be grounded in something, right? It has to be have something to connect to. It has to be sustainable. It has to be conscious. It has to be life-filled. So love it. In Gene Keys, my tribe is Buffalo. Whoa, love it. And those cards are, all these cards are amazing, right? I will, J-Lo. I will. I can't wait. Natasha, Buffalo can stand in the storms of life with strength and endurance. There's something sacred about a buffalo. When you just look at the face of the buffalo, right? There's something ancient yet wise. And you know what it reminds me of, and they're not even related, is it reminds me of whale energy, yet more solid, more maybe whale is the feminine connection, and this is the more masculine connection of creation energy. I'm not sure, but every time I get buffalo, or every time I see buffalo, I just think it's the counterpart to whale energy. And whale played a big part last week in our week. So in our card readings that we did on Friday, remember, we got whale. And that was from the Galactic Heritage deck. So the Galactic brothers and sisters reminding us of whale energy. All right. Well, that's enough magic and mysticism for the day, I guess. I will see you all tomorrow. Also this week, I will be on Angel Heart Radio Wednesday. So if you need a dose of learning more about your human design, I will post that link up for you to follow us. It'll be at 5 o'clock West Coast time. So a little late for those of you on the East Coast. It's certainly for those of you in Europe, but you can catch the recording following the link after the show is done. We're going to be talking about authority in human design and what does that mean and why is it important? Last month, we talked about type and strategy. This week, we're going to marry it to authority, and you're going to get a bigger picture of how it is you make good decisions for you. All right, that's it for me, guys. Take care. Have a good day. Bye for now.